Hello, I hope everything is okay. Thank you so much for joining us. We will give a couple of minutes to start. Okay, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for being able to take this moment for this webinar. My name is Paula Villalta Olivares. I'm the Dean of the Faculty of Economy and Management for the Common Good. It's a pleasure to welcome you to the second day of this inspiring project management week. Yesterday, we started with the artificial intelligence introduction that invite us to reflect on the transformative role of projects in our society. Today, we'll continue this journey with new insights and learnings from our experienced speakers who will further explore key topics in our field. Under our theme, Awakening the Transformative Spirit of Projects, Innovation and Regeneration in Action. I encourage you to participate actively, ask questions, and make the most of this space. Each topic we'll cover today has been carefully selected to help expand your knowledge and inspire you to build projects that make a difference. I hope today is enriching as a first. Wishing you all an excellent webinar and thank you for being here. I will introduce you the Master Sophia Crawford. Please, Sophia, turn on your camera. Thank
Hello, everyone.
you. Sophia, who has a master's degree in cognitive behavioral therapy, a master's degree in project management, and hold international certifications like PMP, Scrum Masters, ITIL, SDI, MBTI. With over a decade of experience as a guest speaker, Sophia has contributed to numerous conferences and seminars, focusing on the pivotal role of soft skills in revitalizing interpersonal relationships through the lens of sustainability. Her experience encompasses illustrating how communication, empathy, and collaboration not only enhance personal and professional interactions, but also driven long-term sustainable relationships in today's fast-evolving world. B, blending interpersonal development with sustainability practices, Sophia has helped individuals and organizations foster more meaningful and enduring connections. The name of the paper is Sustainable Connections, Reviving Relationships Through Essential Soft Skills. So please, Sophia, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Paula. And it's very nice to see some of my familiar names here and some of the new students as well. So thank you so much for being here. It is a pleasure to have you here. And I will be sharing my screen so we can go ahead and get started. As I always mention, for those of you who know me and have taken classes with me, my approach is always to see whatever we learn from a holistic perspective. So it's not that we only go to work or that we only have our personal lives. We are holistics, right? So some of the things that I'm going to be sharing with you today in the time that we have is some things that you can apply not only at work, but also at the university in your interpersonal relationships as well as personal relationships. So thank you again. And with let's go ahead then without any more wording, let's go ahead and get started here. Okay. So sustainable connections and reviving relationships through essential skills. And for some people, maybe the term soft skills is more, they are more familiar with that term, but actually they are essential skills. So we're going to cover today in about 20 minutes. I am going to give you an introduction, then I'm going to talk about the need for sustainable relationships, also some essential tools that you can use and apply, also the importance of building and reviving relationships, and then I will leave you with some practical strategies. So I would like to open, and I know we have a very limited time here, but I would like to open the microphone to maybe one or two of you or three. But I would like to pose a question here. In a world more connected than ever, why do so many of us feel disconnected? A lot of people feel very disconnected and lonely. And I would like to hear from you your thoughts. Just one or two, maybe three.
Can
Any
I say
ideas?
something? Okay,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
hi, Binta here.
Hi. Hi, Pinta.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. Go ahead.
I would say because the connection sometimes is very superficial,
Mm-hmm.
especially in this internet and social media world. We have a
Yes.
lot of superficial connection. So a lot of people are not real about the connection and real about who they are, who they portray in
Yes.
this new media space that we're navigating.
Thank you. That is so true. Thank you, Pinta. Anyone else?
Hi, Sophie.
Hi, Paul.
Hi.
Welcome to the
I think,
university. She's
thank
one of
you.
the new ones.
So in my case, I think that besides professionally is also lack of values.
Mm-hmm.
People don't have values anymore. So even though there are a lot of media,
Mm-hmm.
internet, and all that, people just don't have values, and everybody's scared of that. You don't make actually real friends most of the times
Mm,
through media. Hmm.
that's true. And then yes, that is why, and thank you, Paul. It's very important to actually know what our values are. Those are important because for everybody there are different values. But thank you so much. Anyone else? Okay, thank you. So these are some of the key themes. So for the first one is sustainable connections, and those are relationships that thrive over time, rooted in soft skills. And sometimes you realize, and that applies both at work and in our personal lives, that sometimes we don't have the best relationship with somebody, but over time, even after having misunderstandings, arguments, so on and so forth, we start to see the person in a different way, through a different lens or perspective. So those are relationships that through the time, through the years, we can say that we have sustained a connection with that person. And that doesn't mean that the best, just because we have a very good relationship with somebody at one point in time in our lives, that doesn't mean that we have with that person a sustainable connection. It is about through times, because sometimes even if we apply that to our personal relationships, with our couples and partners and our more dear people in our lives, we see, oh no, because we are good so much, that means that we are not connected. That doesn't mean that. It means that the relationship needs work and it needs growing. But through the years, if you stick to that relationship, obviously if it's not something, a relationship that is affecting you in physically or otherwise, then you can see how somebody change through time. And then soft skills, right? Because they become the foundation of sustainable connections. And it is so important because sometimes universities just focus on the fact that people or the students need to know, though, all the hard skills that they need to be able to find a very good job. But then what happens is through that process, we also don't further develop our soft skills, being able to, talk to somebody that we don't like, be able to communicate something that we think it is important, but maybe we are so afraid that our idea is going to be rejected. Then we decide, no, it's better for me to be quiet. How do we overcome that through the years? And then at the end, what we want is to revive and generate relationships through intentional communication and emotional intelligence. So, why is the need for sustainable relationships? So, some of the current social landscape, as some like Binta and Paola mentioned, we have this increased digitalization, but also it is very interesting. There are a lot of actually facts and studies that show that even though we have so many different ways to communicate, and the technology we have now is top of the line, but at this point in time in our lives, a lot of people feel very, very lonely and isolated. We lost that of the face to face communication, let's go and grab some coffee, everything. And sometimes it's not even our choice, it's just we have to, right? We work with coworkers that are in different part of the world, and, all these interactions, but even then, people feel very lonely. And then, like, I believe that it was Binta who mentioned superficial interactions. Sometimes, I just need to portray myself in such a way so I will not be rejected, so I can be accepted, so I can feel that I'm part of something. So then my coworkers don't pick of me because I am different, because dress differently, or I think differently. So I just have to put a mask just to be accepted. And then we have also our work, the consequences of transactional relationships, and that those transactional relationships that is just, you do this, my expectation is that you need to meet these goals. I don't care if you have issues at home, I don't care if you have problems, you need to perform because everything is based on performance. And then when you feel that you are not understood at work, that your bosses just care about what your performance, and then if you add to that working in an environment that is toxic, that is negative, where people are competing always against each other in the worst way, that produces also the syndrome of burnout. So where you just feel you have no energy, and then when your energy level goes down, then you get sick physically, emotionally, and psychologically as well. So, what is a sustainable relationship? So, the definition is a connection that evolves and endures through adaptability, empathy, and trust. And then again, going back to our relationships, could be at work or personal relationships. Sometimes, like again, if it's not a relationship that is set in your physical being or emotional being, sometimes you have to give people time for you to be able to see how can you see changes in somebody if you don't give that person time and space to be and to learn. And there are different ways that we as individuals learn, right? So it's having also being able to adapt. It's not always what I think. We always believe that our thoughts and what our thinking is the right one. But can you imagine? Everybody feels that way. So sometimes we just have to be more adaptable, and then be show empathy to people, or be empathetic as well. And that builds trust. And why is important? Because that helps us to bring strong relationships, and those are essential for our well-being, for our productivity as well, and to collaborate. There's nothing wrong with competing, but when it's a healthy competition, and when we also encourage and empower people to collaborate, right? Because when we collaborate with our peers, our family, our friends, everybody brings to the table different strengths. And then the results are just unbelievably positive when actually we give that opportunity to other people. So some of the tools that we need to revive relationships, and when we talk about soft skills, we need to have emotional intelligence, and that in summary is to be able to be aware and conscious of the way I feel at all times. And then when I understand why I feel what I feel, what was the root cause of that, then that also make me more tolerant and understanding with other people. Let's use creativity. We all bring to the table different strengths. So, when we have an issue, when we are having a misunderstanding, when we feel that we are blocked, then why not to use that creativity and try to fix or change things around in such a way that where the result is everybody feeling creative and bringing to the table new ideas. At the end of the day, all the companies are looking for innovation, and the part of that innovation is being able to be creative. And to be creative, you have to be in a flow where you feel that you are completely yourself. Then let's look at different ways to resolve problems, right? It's not always this and that. And maybe something that helped us to resolve an issue 3 years ago doesn't apply to the new reality. Active listening. It is so important when you really want to give somebody a gift. You know, it is not only about the material, it's about being present. Active listening is not about listening just to answer, it's just listening for the sake of listening, paying attention. And then at some point in time, yes, I may have the opportunity to then provide my feedback of what I think. But sometimes we are so overloaded with so many things that all we want is just to be heard and seen. Effective communication, being assertive. No, it's not only about what I think that is important to me. No, being respectful of what it is important to you as well. So let's communicate effectively. Let's also set boundaries when we need to set boundaries. But at the end of the day, it is about connection, because if we talk about communication, it could be just an interchange of ideas, transactions. You do this, I get that, I do that. But when we really connect, the results are completely different. And then a lot of you work, same as I do, with companies that have presence worldwide. And then that means that we have coworkers that are located in different parts of the world with different cultures, different rules of dynamics in how to communicate with other people, how to relate to other people. Let's be respectful of that. Let's be sensitive about that. So sometimes you will offend somebody and that was not your intention, but you then get to know your people, the people not only that report to you, your coworkers, your family, because sometimes we even marry with people that are located in different parts of the world. So we are not only married with that person, we also marry the family somehow. So let's take the time to know them. What are the traditions? What are the things that are important to them? So then we show them respect, at least by learning. So, how to build relationships that really thrive and using soft skills. So, it is very important to think about restoring trust and sustain and strain relationships. So, this little speech that I'm providing to you, that I'm saying, is very short, but my purpose is for you to actually take that as a takeaway. Think about relationships that as of today could be at work or personal that has been strained. There was a misunderstanding, and then you think about it, something that happened 10 years ago, and you say, I cannot believe, I don't even remember why I stopped talking to that person. If it's worth it, then use your essential skills to rebuild and restore. That is part of what our society needs, and that's part of generating our world. Also, nurture new connections with intentionality. Be intentional. Let's just forget about having to pretend just to be accepted or validated. The more we are ourselves and the more we allow people to be who they really want to be, our relationships will be really more connected. And then sustainability in personal and professional context. That is family, that's friends, that's coworkers. What can I do to keep and to really strengthen my current relationships? And almost closing, some of the practical strategies that I would like to leave you with is daily practices to develop soft skills. So again, we have to be very honest with ourselves. Everything, every change starts within us. So if I know that, conflict, I am not really like to deal with conflict. So this is something that I would like to improve. So then when, one of the days, ideas that I can use is journaling. Okay, so today I had a conflict with this person, or I had this situation. This is how I reacted. So was that okay with myself, within myself? Do I really believe that my handling the situation was good, or it could be improved? So next time around, this is what I think that I should have done and I will do next time around. So that way you are training your brain to think differently. And when you are faced again with the same or similar situation with the same person or somebody else, you have an alternative, because remember, we always have choices. The decision is always ours at the end of the day, even if we think that we are being forced to decide otherwise. Building a professional connection plan, that is very important as well. And be present. Be present always. Be present to yourselves, because that is important as well. Everything starts within us. And then be present with the people that are around you, and especially the people who matters the most to you. And this is my last thought for the day. And this is a quote that I love. Too often we underestimate the power of a touch, a smile, a kind word, a listening ear, an honest compliment, or the smallest act of caring, all of which have the potential to turn a life around. This is by Leo Buscaglia. I don't know if I pronounce his last name correctly, but just I would like to leave you with this. You don't know that the smallest act of kindness that you do today can mean a completely shift in somebody else's life. So your life is important. The people around you, their lives are also important. And the way that we start to change within ourselves, then that is going to produce a ripple effect, positively or negatively. So I know that I took more time than I was allowed. So, Paula, I will turn it over to you. And thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Sophia. I really appreciate it. And definitely, I'm so proud to have you as a friend and colleague. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and insight with us. So I will open the microphones at this point. So if you have questions or comments to Sophia, this is the time to do it. Everything was so clear that nobody has questions or comments. Okay. Sophie, could you please share with us? Okay. Who is it?
Ricardo, hi.
Ricardo, go ahead.
Yeah, no, Sophia, first of all, I always love your presentation. So if
Thank
anyone
you.
here hasn't taken your course yet, that's something I always look forward to. But that being said, I do agree with the points that you made. I see that every day in the workplace I am in different companies here in Belize, and I feel that people tend to take, for example, the struggles of their home life to work and the struggles of their work to home, and that's, to me, that's natural. We're not necessarily separate people.
Yes.
So I was just curious to know, in terms of tactics to assist different team members, people on our teams, what's been your experience in terms of, let's say, the top one or two things that we could do as leaders or project managers
Mhm.
to assist those on our team, just from your
Thank
standpoint?
you. Thank you, Ricardo. Great questions. So first, show that you really care. Really, that you really care. When you, as a manager, when somebody comes to you with an issue, or maybe that person doesn't even feel comfortable telling you about, but you find through somebody else that they're having something, a challenge at home in their personal lives, show that you care. And then try to build between the team an environment where everybody can support one another, right? So today is you, tomorrow will be me. But at the end of the day, we see each other as a team. We are part of a team. The moment that you really show to somebody that you care, and you, because at the end of the day, I understand we all, as employers, or yeah, as people who work, we need to perform. We need to then achieve our goals. But when we really feel care about, that is a game changer. You just feel that, yes, this is the kind of boss I want in my life, and I'm going to give it 100%. Yes, I know that this time I have an issue at home, then maybe this time the team have to then work more because of me, but the next time around, I will be there. You can count on me.
I like that. Thank you, Sophia.
Thanks, Ricardo. And I think that Paola had a question. You raised your hand, Paula.
No, I'm sorry.
Paola, sorry, Paola.
It
Yes,
was
sorry.
just
Oh, okay,
clapping.
good. Okay, good. So then thank you so much for your time, and I will then turn it over to you, Paula. Thank you.
Sophie, could you please give us your last thought about your speech? Could you please do it?
Yes, I really believe that everything that we do evolves around not only our peace of mind, but also how we interact with each other. And sometimes we underestimate that. So let's just remember that we are not islands, that we need other people as well. But when we feel good within ourselves, we can connect easily with other people, even if the person is not what we consider to be a little bit difficult. We are in that peace of mind, or that place, in that flow where we can connect with other people more easily. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Sophia. It's always a pleasure to share these spaces with you. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us. Okay, so we are going to continue our webinar, and let me introduce you to Ricardo Góngora from Belize. Ricardo, please turn on your camera. And Ricardo, with a background in investment finance, Ricardo Góngora is a Master of Project Management candidate from the University of International Cooperation from Costa Rica. He has worked in the project management area for the past 12 years, since started his career in Belize with the government in this country. During his time in public service, he has contributed to the national development of Belize in the areas of economic development and health sector programs. More recently, Ricardo has taken up the mantle of program manager at Belize National Telecom TIG. So, Ricardo, go ahead, and thank you so much for taking time with us.
Paula, thank you very much. I appreciate your invitation from UC, and I'm very excited to be here. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And just for those of you that are online, if you're on your PC, you can go to, when I start presenting, there should be an option for share screen as well, for view speaker and content. So just in case you'd like to view myself with the presentation side by side. All right, just a moment. All right, well, this should work. Okay, well, thank you everyone for being here, and thank you for your attention. We're gonna try to keep it down to just under 20 minutes. So again, thank you all for being here. The title of today's talk is Transformative Leadership, Awakening Innovation and Harnessing Human Potential for a Sustainable Future, and presented by myself. So I'll start this presentation with a question. So imagine if in every single project you lead, and by extension, for every day that you live, you could inspire innovation and create a sustainable impact, not only for the people, but the communities around you. How would that transform your approach to living life? How would that transform your approach to the projects themselves that you lead? So in terms of transformative leadership, I'd like to highlight 3 points that we're going to go into in terms of the challenges we face as project managers, as well as potential key solutions that we utilize to fix them. And again, this is my perspective on transformative leadership, pulling from my experience. The first, of course, transformative leadership inspires purpose and vision. And again, I'll go into details shortly. It builds trust and confidence. And of course, it has a focus on long-term impact. You see, in transformative leadership, our purpose that I found is to guide meaningful change. We are stewards of the future, not only of our present day, not only of our personal lives, not only the projects and programs that we lead, but of the future. And the question I often ask myself is, what's the legacy that I intend to leave behind, not only after life, but after every single project that I implement? Is it that I want to only achieve my project within time, cost, scope, quality, and the other 6 knowledge areas, or do I want it to be something bigger? And that leads us to a summary again: leading with purpose, building trust, and focusing on long-term impact. We'll go into challenges, action steps, and key principles. So the first challenge: competing priorities in a purpose-driven work. Often what we find is we are challenged, to put it modestly, to achieve as much as we can, as cheap as we can, with the highest of quality in the shortest period of time. The challenge we face here is being able to balance purpose with many different competing priorities in our personal and our professional lives. We look at deadlines, budget constraints, managing difficult stakeholders, as well as many different stakeholders. And this can often cause teams to lose sight of what they're really trying to achieve. You see, a project is not only just a project, but it is for some outcome and long-term impact that we're trying to achieve, a bigger purpose. So how do we solve that? And what I've came to is to lead with purpose, as the first item on the transformative leadership suggests. If you have the time after this, I'd like you to just Google Simon Sinek and this title called The Golden Circle. Some amazing videos online. Now, he speaks about how to motivate teams, to summarize it in my own way. Now, by means of an example, if I were to tell my team, we're going to create a brand new cell phone, how are we going to do it? With high quality, with the best people, with the best factories. And why are we going to do it? To connect people together, to their families, to experiences. And I ask you, do you want to buy it? Probably not. Now, if I start with the vision, the why, the purpose, the chorus of beliefs behind what we're doing, whether it's a project or a product, well, first of all, I want to connect people to their families, let them share in their most, the closest moments of their lives, have them share memories, and I go on down the list and I touch deeply into their souls with that key message. And then I explain to you how we're going to do it. Well, using the previous, what I mentioned earlier, well, we're going to use the best people and the best factories with the best quality materials and so forth. And what are we going to do in order to connect people? Well, we're going to make cell phones. Do you want to buy one? The impact is a bit differently. And of course, Simon Sinek does it the best. But it's important, I feel, for us, or for me, to have shared this, because creating a why essentially guides our team towards a higher goal beyond just the work that we're doing. It's our North Star guiding us towards what's the impact that their work is going to have, what's the legacy that they intend to leave behind with the projects that they lead. And it goes beyond individual tasks and deadlines. And the benefit of this is that we see teams are more motivated to work. They understand more clearly what the work it is that they're trying to do. Challenge 2, I'm about halfway here. One of the major challenges, and I think Sophia touched on this briefly, is being able to build trust and safety in these high stakes environments. Again, I can hear my bosses in my mind in previous places of work. We need you to get this done next week, but it's a 4-week job. No, it needs to get done next week. You're pulling 40 to 80 hours a week. You're frustrated. You bring that home to your family. And Sophia, that's actually why I asked that question. You're frustrated at home. You go back to work, and the cycle revolves. And I feel that, how shall I say, these high stakes environments, instead of motivating people, in fact, cause them to be less productive and to be more hesitant to make mistakes because the demands are so high. So how do we build trust? Oh, don't trust this guy. How do we create trust and a safe environment for innovation? It's crucial to harness. It's important because we need to harness the full potential of our teams in a safe, protected way. It encourages creative problem solving as well as risk taking. It creates a space for novel ideas, as well as, let me take a step back there, creating a space for novel ideas. I want to touch on something that came to mind just now as Sophia was talking. I was reminded by, I wrote it down here, Google. They have a project by the name of Project Aristotle, and their quest or their journey is to build a perfect team. And one of the things they realize is that psychological safety in the studies that they conducted is one of the most important um, contributing factors toward building strong teams that perform well and teams that are happy. Now, in the scope of regenerative development and building this sort of sustainable future, if you think about regenerative development, if you've taken that course already, we're looking at three areas: profit, prosperity, people. Now, while these, yes, can be looked at together as a whole in the context of, let's say, a circular economy and all the principles that go behind that, I personally feel that by focusing on people first, we're able to, by default, build prosperity. By default, creating people who are more aware, more, let's say, well-centered in their lives, who are more conscious of their environments, not only physical and environmental, but the communities that they're in. So I just wanted to touch on that as well. Now, by creating this type of environment, it's difficult to be able to do so. One of the tactics that I use, and I perhaps should not have used the word tactic, one of the things that I've found to be most beneficial and healing, not only for myself, but for my teams that bring their problems to work and vice versa, is to be open enough to admit our own mistakes. And by doing so, while yes, it can backfire at times, if you do so with integrity, if you do so with honesty and with good intentions behind it, I find that the team members, the persons on my team are in return more willing to admit their own mistakes. And with that openness and with that trust built, we see this amazing blossoming of ideas coming to life. We see people who are willing to take risks, who are willing to work later in a healthy way, of course. We see creative problem solving. And because of my time limit, I don't want to go too much into a deep example, but I'm working on, say, a regenerative based construction project with regenerative development as its founding principle. At least that's how I present it. And what I found is that by creating this space of trust, the persons on our teams, they're blossoming with ideas. Whereas when we first started, everything was, yes, sir, okay, we'll get it done. And it wasn't actually the case. So I found this to be one of my most important points to creating solid teams and to creating people and leaders of the future who can then steward their own teams, their own communities, and be stewards of the future of the world. Our challenge 3, balancing both immediate and long-term goals. So one of the things transformative leaders must focus on is essentially focusing on having a mindset of a sustainable impact in the tasks that they execute, in the manner that they plan their projects, in the way that they implement, in who they involve in their projects, when, where, and how, as opposed to being strictly task-oriented. By embracing a regenerative mindset, it encourages team members to think about the lasting value of their work. In the project that I mentioned earlier, it's infrastructure related with a company I'm working with here in Belize. Our objective is to renovate our headquarters, the entire compound, it's quite a few structures, to implement a solar system, as well as to create spaces for our team members to enjoy. That's great. Financially, I'm sure it will show. From a team enjoyment perspective, I'm sure it will show. But purely communicating the objectives that we're trying to achieve, I've found is not enough. I had to take it a step further to really delve down into the why behind we're doing this. And I, by default, came back to people. And coming back to people and focusing on their lives, understanding having empathy for the fact that we spend just about 40% of our days, sometimes more, at work, with another 30 to 40% asleep. In creating spaces where they can actually enjoy their lives at work, I found to be one of the greatest motivating factors for the team members that I'm working on, because they have started to put an immense pride in the work that they do. And that's something I'm immensely proud of. Next, by looking at the long term from this regenerative perspective, it fosters decisions that support both the project success as well as organizational goals with wider impacts that go beyond the organization. Some key takeaways, and this is just a final slide to summarize. Inspire purpose and vision. It's our responsibility, I believe, to be able to do so, to learn how to do so, not only for our team members, but for ourselves and for our own families and communities. Next, to build trust and confidence with our team members. In doing so, we build operational efficiency and we overall improve the quality of life of the team members we work with. And finally, to focus on a long-term impact. People, planet, and prosperity as a whole, with for myself, people first. Discussion and questions. Does anyone have any questions with regards to what we've discussed here?
We don't have here in the chat, but I see Bintan's hand. Go ahead, Bintan.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, give me a minute. Yeah, I was trying to unmute myself. Thank you very much, Ricardo. I've been correctly if I didn't mispronounce your name. Oh my God. Yes, Ricardo, for the presentation. It is something that is aligned with who I am as a human rights and gender professional. I am I'm very much into transformative leadership, especially transformative leadership that focuses on human rights standards and achieving gender equality. But I have a question. When a team gets a leader who's transformative and that leader leaves the organization, it leaves the team, I guess, back to square one and hoping that they once again get another transformative leader. So this is why I'm a big proponent of the passage of rights-based policies within organizations. So in Belize, my question is to you, have you noticed any examples in Belize where there have been the development of rights-based policies which support not only transformative leaders, but transformative organizations, helping organizations also transform themselves and be more enlightened and support their employees? So I hope you got my question.
I think I did. I have done some work with the Spotlight Initiative through the UN here within the country. And while I'm not fully familiar with their specific work through the lens of gender equality, I have not seen any specific examples here in the country. However, I would like to pose a question, let's say a challenge, both yourself to Binta as well as to the rest of the team members here. By means of an example, I joke with my team members very often, if I can make myself redundant within the company, I've met my goal. Now, some of them laugh, some of them tell me you shouldn't say stuff like that, especially not to fellow colleagues. But really, when I get down to the details, it's as follows. If I can achieve the objective of, and I may never reach this, by the way, I don't see myself as an amazing leader, but perhaps I am. If I can be such a great leader to my team members that I create other team members who are also leaders in their own areas, then I believe I've succeeded. If I can create a space where my team members can elevate themselves from, let's say, a technical lead in a certain area to a project manager, then I've achieved my goal. So I hope to answer your question, while I haven't seen that, it is a personal vision, mission of mine to live my life with integrity and with this vision in mind to build other leaders within the country and in myself, building myself up as a leader simultaneously. So while thinking of it now, I perhaps did not answer your question directly and specifically. I hope that does give some insight.
Thank you. I guess you have to answer based on what you know. Just wondering what policies, because that's something it supports transformative leadership as well. But thank you very much.
Yeah. Binta, just a final thought there. If it is, I think my email is on the invite. I can put you in touch with some folks in Belize who are more like specialists in that area. So again, outside the scope of the webinar, but thank you for your question.
No problem. Thank you. I'll take your email.
Well, any further questions or comments? No? Well,
I'm sure we have.
Ricardo.
I'm
Uh-huh.
sure we have at least one. I think we should do an extra credit, at least 1 point for anyone who asks at least a question.
Actually, I was talking to Andrea about that. Um,
If
Ricardo
none,
is
that's
an Ricardo is an exceptional student of our university, and we are really thankful to share this space with you. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and experience with us. Inspire purpose and vision, build trust and confidence, focus on long-term impact, people, planet, and prosperity. So thank you so much, Ricardo, for your thoughts. Could you please give us a last thought?
I didn't plan for that, but I do have something in mind. I wrote it down just now. It says, "If not you, then who? And if not now, then when?" And it's something that I carry with me wherever I go, in work as well as my personal life. The
Well,
challenges that we Yes, and the challenges that we see around the world, whether it be people who are suffering or people who are in dire need of wanting more for themselves. If it's the physical environment that is polluted and littered and needs to be improved, if it's the financial status of your company, yourself, or your community, I think it's up to us to take on the mantle of trying, even if we do not know how, and reaching out to others, other leaders potentially, and mentors to guide us so we can improve ourselves and our communities.
awesome. Thank you so much, Ricardo, and I really appreciate it. And thank you so much for all your time, and your presentation was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's continue. Now we have the MBA, Karina Viquez. Karina, please turn on your camera. Thank you. Karina is a program director of the Certificate in Regenerative Entrepreneurship at the University for International Cooperation in Costa Rica. Over 10 years of experience playing key roles in impact, learning, regenerative program design, development project management, sustainability advisory services, sustainable tourism, strategy consulting, and a previous corporate background in marketing and logistics. She holds an MBA from IE Business School, Spain, specialized training in regenerative development, biomimicry, bioleadership, and organizational regeneration, with practitioners around the globe. The paper name is Empowering Regenerative Action Through Projects. So thank you so much, Karina, for joining us. And please go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. Thank you for the invitation, and very honored to be here with you. As you might heard, my experience with projects, it's merely in the streets, in the field, not as having a degree or certification, but let's have fun. I hope you enjoyed this session and the intersection that I identified between regenerative development and project management. So I will share my screen now, and just let me know if you are able to see it.
There
All
you
good?
go.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so this quote, I think it's quite important to start this conversation, because a couple of decades and even 1 decade ago, being a project manager was merely focused on delivering on time and on budget, and is still valid. But now it means something greater, that is being in this crossroads where our work can definitely help decide whether we thrive as a species and evolve, or if we do not thrive. So it's our decision. Every decision that we make can definitely define the present and the future of our society. So with this in mind, maybe some of you are aware, and as Ricardo was saying, if you have taken the course on regenerative development, you might have seen this apocalyptic graphic, but it's quite our reality that 6 of the 9 planetary boundaries established by the Stockholm Center are now surpassed. And that green, safe operating space is every time more pressured and committed to what we need to live in a daily basis. So we definitely have a lot to work on, and doing it through projects has been definitely an ally, a partner, and a solution to face those planetary challenges that we have. And it's not that we should leave this to the scientists and to the biologists. Every person from their own reality is able to do something about it, do something powerful. So this is like the main message that I want to transmit today. So looking at this situation and our planetary crisis, how should we evolve and how should we do it in a good rhythm? Because we're in a decisive decade, near 2030, and this is the moment where I would like to share a bit about what is regenerative development. So it's not like an established concept. It's not a recipe or the step-by-step that I will share with you, and then you will be able to do, hey, we have regenerative projects everywhere. It's not depends on certifications. And it's not that I confirm that I'm regenerative and I conform with that. And it's definitely not an individual path. It's a path that we walk through with company, with other people. So what is a process towards well-being that integrates the territory and its particularities. It is always context-based. That is why it's not a one-size-fits-all. And you might also have seen this by the presentations of Edward Muller, the rector of UCI, where it explains like the 6 dimensions of the regeneration. So it includes the 3 of sustainability, economic, social, and environment or Mother Earth, but also it includes spirituality. That is not something mystic, is how do we act with ethics, our values, and our consciousness that we are part of something else, that we should be analyzing as a system, like Ricardo was saying, like considering the long term and the impact and the purpose, and not just like immediate needs. And also it includes the politics. We do need a lot more unrepresented voices in the decision-making tables, such as youth, women, indigenous groups, and to achieve that transparency is quite needed. And also the other element is culture. So besides the inclusion and participation that is considered in society, it also includes the identity, the empowerment. We're tribes. At the end of the day, we're still tribes that we want to be part of something else. And you can definitely relate with that in the way you execute projects, how we make other people feel, like Sophia was saying before, the flows and emotions that go in and outside of every team, and the impact that we generate through every relationship that we establish during our trajectory. So it's definitely not something that is black or white. It's a stage-by-stage process. And the idea is to start working like the different elements, from going to business as usual or conventional to a more regenerative living systems approach and design. is not a competence. It's more a collaborative approach. So the mechanism that is suggested here is that we start following certain practices and principles. So here we're in the middle of an ecosystem. So this is what I meant before with this systemic thinking. We're part of something else. It's not, I know we do have a specific initiatives or projects and budgets and outcomes and deliverables, but we do need these other parts to make this happen. So having nature's voice in our decision making, also considering at-risk populations, all the ventures, the startups, entrepreneurship efforts, corporations, of course, associations of bars or colleges of professionals, investment funds, VCs, accelerators, incubators, also NGOs, projects and initiatives. It is quite interesting that civil society is like the principal living force that is moving forward all these climate change and activism and voice. So also we need to focus working with international organisms, cooperation agencies, development banks, academia and research. We need to go further than classrooms. So we need to put this knowledge to the service of life. And of course, all the government entities. So as you may see, we should be a blend of collaborative networks of communities, projects, and organizations that are context-based, that embrace their own history and talent, and also that define their own purpose. If not, it's just merely individual initiatives that can disappear any moment. So you might be thinking like how this can relate to projects. So first of all, designing and planning. It's quite important, like establishing all these, like the continuous improvement, agile, lean methodologies, but how do we, what is it for? At the end of the day, what the outcome should look like. Also, how are we driving innovation in our projects? What type of populations are we benefiting? What type of trainings are we given? How tailored do we make, or are we just acting like robots and repeating trainings and talks? Also, the way we measure success, that we will talk about that in a minute. How we communicate, the language is super important. Also, the stakeholder engagement, because a lot of time, in a lot of moments, we're just like executors and not like the C-level. So how do we bring those people to understand and to live with the same passion that we need to include the well-being of society and the planet, and the nature's voice that I was mentioning before. So just a couple of ideas that I came up with. Regularly, what we have been using to measure success is infinite growth, profit-driven labels, like what is your role, your target, and that's the way I will treat you. Productivity, like also reducing cost, and GDP for the country level. But this has taken us to very huge gaps, to inequality and to extractivist approach, and definitely decontextualized, because we're all being measured by the same bar. So what about considering this type of metrics? Biodiversity impact, soil and water health. Everyone is like talking about the carbon footprint, but what about biodiversity? What about the community participation rate, the cultural preservation, or the systemic integration to other, the quality of the partnerships that we establish, for example. Also the quality of life improvements for those communities around us, and the replication potential that I think the two of the speakers that spoke before me, we have that in common in our speech. The actions that we make today definitely resonates and will replicate to many more people and hearts. So it's very important that we keep that in mind when we work with other people. That is, maybe in every aspect that we do, we're not alone. There are so many tools now, and most of them are open access. I highly recommend the Third Horizon University for collaborative tools, analyze projects, and to understand how the limited resources that we have make us come together and not like competing, but in a more holistic way to see how we can work together for that element that we have in common. And also other tools like 7Vortex that are very good for mapping. We have also like new Canvas for business models that this lights up the purpose, the value proposition that we offer for the community and for life. And just a couple of examples that I know time is our main challenge here, but from UCI, we have been working since 2018 in Costa Rica Regenerativa, building a series of community gardens where we facilitated how regenerative agriculture worked for local leaders in Guanacaste, in the northern area of Costa Rica. Then also training holistic management advisors from the government and like private owners, landowners. We had worked with 11 local governments, advising them on biogovernance, working with civil society that I mentioned before. They're a huge force, and also working with kids, youth, around topics like education and technology. And another example is a program that I'm very honored to lead since 3 years ago, the Certificate in Regenerative Entrepreneurship, which is like an oasis of actions. Maybe the word project can be a lot for some of those actions that have been developed. But as you have seen, since 2019, we have been like opening the space and tools for people that are unlearning what regenerative development is and to start acting, because the clock is ticking and we do not have time for just talking about it, but we need to start doing. So tourism, agriculture, and like community led projects are the ones that are most that people develop the most. So we're very happy, and we know we cannot do this by ourselves. So we're very grateful to have these other colleagues from other hubs like Colombia, Chile, the Wellbeing Economy Alliance, and a lot of speakers and like references from both the North and global, the global North and South, sorry, that are like helping us to structure this new frame that we're still developing. It's a never-ending process. So just to finish, I want to leave you, and if you're able to put in the chat and open the microphone, that would be amazing. In one word, and based on the 3 presentations from today that I really enjoyed from the other colleagues, thank you, Sofia and Ricardo. What kind of legacy do we want to leave through the projects that we lead? I know it's a profound question, so I have more questions for you to help you with that one. So what talents can I offer? What am I committed to? Who do I want to collaborate with? And who is missing in this conversation? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Karina. Really appreciate it. We don't have questions in the chat, but I don't know if you have questions to the audience, comments, or super clear.
Let's hope so.
Okay. Well, I want to take a moment to express my deepest gratitude for your insightful presentation today, Karina. Your expertise and dedication in the field have truly inspired us, and it's a privilege to have had you share your knowledge and perspective with us. Thank you once again for being with us today and for your invaluable contribution in Costa Rica Regenerativo. We look forward to seeing the continued positive impact of your work and hope to welcome you again in the future.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Okay. Thank you so much, Karina, and thank you so much, Ricardo and Sofia. Dear students, colleagues, participants, as we are wrapping up today's sessions, I want to express my sincere gratitude to our speakers for sharing their experience and insights with us. Their contributions have provided us with invaluable perspectives on how we can leverage project management to drive innovation and regeneration. Thank you, all of you, for your active participation and engagement. Your questions and reflections have enriched our discussions and demonstrate a shared commitment within our community to drive impactful change through our projects. I hope that today's sessions has sparkled new ideas and give you tools to apply in your own work. As a project management week continues, we look forward to more inspired sessions that will future depend our collective understanding. Thank you once again. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow at 6 p.m. Costa Rican time. And thank you so much, everyone, and have a beautiful night. Thank you so much for the UCI team, and I really appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.